Hello, hello. Thank you so much for tuning into this true crime ASMR soft spoken video. I will be doing a requested disappearance case. I'm sorry for my little gap again. I have a really stressful job, so sometimes it catches up to me and it can be difficult to find the energy and time to record, but I'm hoping to find more consistency because I really enjoy doing this, so thank you. Today we'll be talking about Kiplyn Davis. Kiplyn was born July 1st, 1979 in Provo, Utah. She was born to parents Richard and Tamara Davis. She had a younger sister named Carissa, and there was a 6-year age gap. So Kiplyn would often babysit her younger sister, help out with homework. She was this really good role model for her sister due to her outgoing and bubbly personality. She was said many times that she was extremely friendly and would make friends wherever she went. So in 1995, she was this really cute sophomore. She was attending Spanish Fork High School. It was the morning of May 2nd, 1995, and she had an argument with her parents before school started. Kiplyn had woken up later than usual, and she was really upset and frustrated because she wanted to take the time to get ready, put on her makeup, and there wasn't enough time to really do it without rushing. And her parents still wanted her to go and go to her driver's education class before school. So after this argument, she headed off to school and arrived to attend the early morning driver's education class. Her 16th birthday was 2 months away, and she was really excited about getting her license. So that day she attended all of her morning classes, and everything seemed normal. Around lunch period, she was seen by her friends in the cafeteria, and everything seemed normal as well. She did not show up for her 4th and 5th period class. All of her belongings, including her purse, makeup, retainer, and school books, were all left in her locker. So Richard, her father, arrives home from work, and Kiplyn isn't home. Kiplyn was very good at being on time from school, around 3:30 every day, and her home was located only about 8 blocks away from school. He goes on to kind of assume that maybe she stayed at school late to work on the upcoming drama club production that she was very much involved in, or that she was maybe at church or at a friend somewhere. So a few hours go by and he still hasn't heard from her. So even though it's like 1995, they still had cell phones, and after some time, when he hadn't heard her reach out or say that she was anywhere, he began to really worry. He and her mom, Tamara, called around to see if anyone had seen her. After all this, the school actually left a message on their answering machine saying that Kiplyn had missed her afternoon classes. Once Richard and Tamara hear this, they become even more worried, because this is not like Kiplyn at all, and just something felt extremely off. So around 5 p.m., her parents report her missing. Being that she was 15, when her parents went to the police, they actually refused to file a missing persons report and insisted that they issued a be on the lookout because they were sure that Kiplyn would be back soon and that she was probably with a boy or with a friend or randomly ran away because she was upset that morning. And of course, the parents know that these are normal fights you have with teens. They're not going to be indicators of someone running away. It's just a normal part of having a teen. So within hours of her disappearance, her family is already printing and distributing posters around the area. In the meantime, they continue to call around to friends. One of these friends recalls seeing Kiplyn dancing in the auditorium with a senior named Chris Jepson. This friend had made it very clear that he wasn't a fan of the kid Chris. So the family is continuing to post in the community, put the word out, talk to people, trying to understand any kind of whereabouts of their daughter. It's not until 2 weeks after she was last seen that police made a public plea to help find Kiplyn. Once months pass without Kiplyn returning and no clues as to where she is, the law enforcement then begin to suspect foul play involved in her case. But almost immediately after this disappearance, rumors begin that something awful had actually happened within the community. The community became aware that classmates Christopher Neil Jepson, David Rucker Leifson, and Timmy Brent Olson, seniors who had been in the drama club with Kiplyn, were being questioned by police. Chris was one of the last people known to have seen Kiplyn alive. Chris had told investigators that he last saw her during the lunch period when they practiced dance moves with a few other students at Spanish Fork High. In the interviews, as well as in testimonies to a federal grand jury, Chris said he spent most of the day after lunch in the school auditorium where he set up lights for an upcoming event as part of his duties as a technician with the school drama department. Timmy told investigators that he had stayed home for much of the morning and then went with his girlfriend to friends Scott Brunson's house, where he helped Scott put shingles on a shed. Scott told that story to police, but then later changed and recanted the story and had said that Timmy had actually only stopped by his house for 2 15-minute intervals that day and did not help him put up shingles. A lot of these peers saw the boys as part of a rougher crowd that hung out in the school parking lot with the big pickup trucks seen everywhere in Spanish Fork. After her disappearance, the various rumors included that her body was buried either in a nearby canyon, a train tunnel, under a building, and various locations, but her remains have never been located. In July of 1995, the FBI gets involved to hopefully aid in the investigation by adding more resources and expertise to the table. However, this doesn't seem to help as there's no further progress made in finding Kiplyn dead or alive. It's a year later that Chris Jepson goes and visits Kiplyn's parents and tells her dad, quote, "I want to get things off my chest. I wanted to tell you that I had nothing to do with Kiplyn's disappearance." Now at this time, the police call all three in again. This includes Chris Jepson, Timmy Olsen, and Rucker Leifson. And now they have them all take a polygraph. They volunteer to take this polygraph, and when asked, Chris passed his polygraph when asked if he had anything to do with the disappearance, and Rucker passed his polygraph as well. Before taking the test, Timmy writes a statement identifying Rucker as the last person to be seen with Kiplyn. He says he witnessed them walk over a hillside in Spanish Fort Cannon, and Rucker returned without her. Police are unable to make any arrests at this time due to lack of evidence or a body. 4 years after her disappearance, her family held a memorial service for Kiplyn and put up a marker in her name at the Spanish Fork City Cemetery. In 2003, U.S. Attorney Paul Warner revived the probe into her death. Timmy Brent Olsen and Christopher Neil Jepson had been charged with her murder. In 2005, Timmy, Rucker, Scott Brunson, Gary Blackmore, and Chris were indicated in federal court on charges of perjury before a grand jury and lying to a federal agent regarding comments about moving a girl's body and creating false alibis. On May 6, 2009, the Utah State prosecutors dropped the murder charges against Chris instead of seeking the death penalty. In court, he pled no contest to obstruction-related charges and ultimately signed an affidavit that he does not know the circumstances or cause of Kiplyn Davis's disappearance. Rucker pleaded guilty to 1 count of lying to a grand jury and was sentenced to 4 years in prison. Gary Blackmore and Scott Brunson have also been found guilty of lying to a grand jury, and their sentences hinged upon their testimony against Timmy. So Scott Brunson was the friend who initially covered and provided an alibi for Timmy, saying that he had helped him put shingles on a shed, and then later recanted that. I'm not quite sure who. I didn't get much information on Gary Blackmore, but it seems he must have had a similar part in providing an alibi that was not true. So previously, Timmy told authorities he watched someone else kill the teen and he only helped hide her body. Multiple people testified during a 2006 federal trial that Timmy admitted to raping, killing, and burying Kiplyn in Spanish Fork Canyon. On June 1st, 2009, news of the decision by a judge on a motion to dismiss the murder charge against Timmy was announced. The judge decided to defer any ruling on the motion in the case, stating he had not heard all the evidence from the prosecutors. An hearing was to be established of whether there was evidence of a death is still possible. So on February 11th, 2011, Timmy pleaded guilty to manslaughter and was sentenced to 15 years in prison. He claimed that he saw an individual hit Kiplyn in the head with a rock and helped to move the body, but declined to name the other individual. He also admitted that he helped move and bury the body, but he refuses to tell authorities where the body is located. Timmy and Rucker had come under suspicion after claiming they left school with Kiplyn on the day she disappeared. Timmy states that he and another person he has never identified drove up to Spanish Fork Canyon with Kiplyn on May 2nd, 1995. Timmy has stated in prior police interviews that he saw the other person hit the girl on the head with a large rock, knocking her unconscious. The two returned to the scene later that evening to dispose of her body. In the document, several informants report to the police that they had overheard or had direct conversations with Timmy when he talked about killing Kiplyn. Timmy was quoted saying, "I can make someone disappear. I did it once, I can do it again." Timmy also allegedly admitted to the same person that he had slept with her, beat her, and disposed of her body, according to the affidavit. The affidavit also states that Timmy allegedly told several people he buried her in Spanish Fork Canyon. The affidavit includes a statement from one informant who told police Timmy came to his house one night about 2 years after her disappearance, and the informant said that Timmy was visibly upset and had been drinking. He then went on to tell him that the police and the FBI were after him, and that he said, quote, I did it. I raped and killed Kiplyn Davis." On March 9th, 2011, Kiplyn had his first parole hearing. Richard Davis, Kiplyn's father, told Timmy during the parole hearing that he would advocate for his release if he would just give them more information about the location of his daughter's body. But Timmy said that he did not have any information to give the family and declined to recount the details of what happened the day of 1995. Timmy was ordered to serve 12 and a half years in federal prison for perjury. In 2016, he was moved from the federal system to the Utah State Prison. Timmy, who was convicted of manslaughter, was ordered by the Utah Board of Pardons and Parole to serve his full 15-year sentence, which expires on February 10, 2026. So some believe that Rucker may have delivered the blow to kill her, and, Chris pled no contest to the charge and was able to because there was no body. Even Rucker's sister, Nicole, is accusing her family members of covering up his involvement. She never offers proof, but she says that her brother and her father acted very suspiciously after Davis disappeared in 1995. So the family still does not have closure with knowing where the body is located. If you have any information about her disappearance, contact the Spanish Fork Police Department at 801-798-5070. This one is extremely sad when never able to have closure, and it's gotta be so frustrating that all these guys involved and none of them are providing the family with closure. You know, I just hope there's some kind of closure. It seems like Timmy definitely had some involvement, and the idea of, I don't know, it's kind of weird he's not sharing who this other person is, which makes me think maybe that other person doesn't exist and it was him, and maybe the other friends just kind of saw him walk away with her and then saw him walk back without her. It's just gotta be so frustrating not getting a clear closure on this. So thank you so much for recommending any other recommendations. I'm happy to do. You guys have given me great ones. And I am going to be doing some more research and trying to find more cases that maybe are lesser known. And also I think I'm going to do some cases that just, those cases that just stick with you. I have a couple that I kind of want to discuss, so I may do some of those cases. They're kind of well known, I think, but I may do that as well. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you're having a good day or night wherever you are. I hope you have a good day tomorrow, and I will see you in my next video.